We're a little late starting, but here we are, finally. And Rob, is your mic ready?
Sure. Let me first apologize for some of the delay, but that's the nature of this business sometimes, so I apologize. Rob, I'm good, I'm well. I have a 7 o'clock time constraint, so I can watch the Knicks lose to the Heat again tonight.
All right.
No, let's hope not. I think we're all here, unless I'm not aware of someone not being here, on our team. I know TALC has some missing folks. I have no elephants, and expectation tonight is make progress. I hope we can make progress, but we have to talk about some things. So, nothing bad.
I am Will Rothenberg. I'm doing well. No time constraints. We're missing, looks like Jill and Shay on the TALC side. No elephants. Expectation. I would like to go with make progress, and also just want to give people the heads up about Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yes.
And the importance of that. I thought it was the first week in May. I was told that it's the first full week in May, so this is the second week in a row that I'm celebrating. I hope there are others that are doing the same.
Good evening, I'm Heather Leonard. I don't have any time constraints this evening outside of our normal ending time. Having a great Monday so far. I believe the missing have already been noted on both sides. No elephants, and expectations make progress.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Amy Desamore. I'm fine. No time constraints. Our missing is marked, no elephants, and my expectations are that we make progress.
Good evening, my name is Kevin Kelfie. I'm doing well. I have no time constraints, missing has been noted. I have no elephants, and my expectation is to make progress.
I'm Carl, I'm fine. No time constraints, missing's been noted, no elephants. Expectation is, I guess, to make progress.
Good evening, I'm Ben, I'm great. I have no time constraints, missing's noted, no elephants. And as Will mentioned as well, happy Teacher Appreciation Week. And the expectation is to make progress.
I'm Shannon Johnston. I'm doing great. No time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants. And the expectation is to make progress.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm doing great. I have no time constraints. Missing is noted. No elephants. Expectation, make progress.
Good afternoon. My name is Helen. I'm doing well. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants. Expectations are to make progress. And then also, thank you to all of our teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week.
Ann Cole, I'm well. No time constraints. Missing is noted. No elephants, and expectations are to make progress. And we're with Will. We're celebrating 2 weeks.
Jessica Duncan. I'm well. No time constraints. Missing is noted. No elephants. Expectations are to make progress.
Hi, I'm Suzette Rivera. I'm doing well. No time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants. My expectations are to make progress. And thank you to all of our teachers.
And Kirk?
Good evening. My name is Kirk Fazone. I'm fine. I have no time constraints. Missing has all been noted. No elephants. Make progress.
My name is Kevin Daly. I'm the president of the Teachers Association of Lee County. I am great. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants. In response to the platitudes about Appreciation Week, we will see how much appreciation there is. Words are incredibly inexpensive. I would like to make progress, please.
Hi, Hello, I'm Anna Witten. I am a third grade teacher at Colonial Elementary as well as the TALC secretary. I am doing fine. I have no time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, and I will go with make progress.
Hello, my name is Amy Johnson. I am a sixth grade teacher at Mariner Middle School. I am well. I have no time constraints, missing has been noted, no elephants, and make progress.
Good evening, my name is LaShonda Hutchins Cologne, and I am the grade 3 through 5 math coach at Franklin Park Elementary. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm okay. There is no time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, and I want to make progress as well.
I'm Christina Stewart. I'm the K-5 art teacher at Tortuga Preserve Elementary, doing well. I need to leave about 6:30 tonight, please. Missing's noted, elephants none, expectations to make progress, but I also want to say thank you to my fellow teachers.
Good evening, my name is Iris Grimaldi. I am a school social worker and I am doing well for a Monday. I have no time constraints, missing has been noted, no elephants, and expectation is to make progress as well.
Good evening, my name is Louis Fisher. I'm the Director of Instrumental Music at Gateway High School. Doing all right. No time constraints, missing has been noted, no elephants, and expectation is to make progress.
Good evening, Mario Dorstal, South Myers High School, mathematics, doing well, no time constraint, missing has been noted, no elephants, and let's make progress.
Thank you. Lily French, I'm doing well. I do not have any time constraints. You are done are missing. I do not have elephants and expectations to help you make progress.
And good afternoon, I'm Donna, I'm doing well, and my expectation is to help you make progress. And with that, I did have a request. You want to finish first before you take? Okay. All right, minutes were sent out last week. I know you have, and there was a second set that had the terminal pay schedule attached to it. If you didn't see that one, thank you for sending all that out. Anybody have any corrections or deletions to the minute? Amy?
All right, so apparently when I was putting this stuff away, one of the pages fell out. So I'm missing some of the corrections that I have on here, but there are lots of errors in capitalization.
Those have all been changed if,
Perfect.
yeah, because
Okay.
I changed, I had Perla change those.
All right,
So
thank you.
you're welcome.
I think the page that I have most information on is the one that's in the card too. I just have a question. The direct threat assessment, is that the team? Is that a team direct threat assessment team?
It says teen and not teen?
No, team. I'm asking if it's. It's under story, Article 12. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th bullet down. It says direct threat assessment is based on reasonable judgment. And I don't know if that was supposed to be team, but it was all capitalized, so I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be referring to a specific.
I think that's referring to the Code of Federal Regulations has direct threat as the standard for when you can send someone home for fitness for duty.
Okay, so that's then should be capitalized then, correct?
Direct threat? Yeah.
All right. You guys, I know, are going to have a meeting in a minute. I can go grab my other page because there were a couple things on there I know that needed to be changed. If you guys want to wait and do notes. I don't have the other page with me.
Okay, so we can't put on minutes right now.
We could wait till.
Okay, wait, you mind?
That's fine.
All right. Did anybody else have any? Okay.
So my change is on the top of page 2. The first bullet says TALC would like to increase their annual sick days. We were talking about the number of sick days that can be used as personal days. So however, that needs to be rephrased. We'd like to increase the number of sick days available for use as personal days, I suppose. Right. And in the second bullet, I think we need to delete the last word bank, because the sick leave bank is no longer a thing.
And that's where, Kirk?
Second bullet, same page. Last word of the line.
Okay, anything else, Kirk?
No, that's it, done. I guess it should say rolled over to their sick leave or his or her sick leave, however you want to phrase it.
Okay. Anything else? All right, well, we'll put the approval on hold until Amy gets back with her note. That's okay? And in the meantime, I have a request that, I'd like to have an executive caucus. So are you guys gonna go into another room?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. And everybody else, take a break. together. And who's gonna do the report out? Okay, go ahead, Rob.
So we meant to discuss the items in Article 12 that we wanted to discuss this evening, and knowing full well that we have one current date after tonight scheduled, so we had some conversation about that. We also basically received budget information today from the state, so that's weighing on us too, because that information is helpful for future bargaining. So we have discussed talking about two issues: the increments by which an employee takes leave, which we spoke about last time somewhat, and talking about, and I think TALC has some proposal possibly with regarding fitness for duty.
Anything else? Kevin, do you have anything to add?
No, I think you captured it well.
Okay. All right, thank you. We do need to step back to the minutes. Did you find your paper? I did. Okay.
On page 105. On the fourth bullet down. It says, it's the second sentence, this exam should reserve for, I think it's supposed to be, should be reserved.
Yeah.
And then the next bullet, it mentions a Florida statute that provides 6 days. If we could put the Florida statute number in there, that probably.
10/12/61.
And what bullet was that, Amy?
The fifth one down,
On page 105?
105, yeah.
And what was the statute?
1012.61.
2.61.
And then, page 205. The second bullet. Paid is spelled P-A-Y-A-D instead of P-A-I-D. It's the 8th bullet down, let me just double check. Yep, the 8th bullet down, 8th bullet on page 205. It's the bereavement and leave in Henry County. It says has 3 days outside of leave, and I think we mentioned that the leave doesn't accrue each year, is that right? So you either take 3 days of leave or you lose them for bereavement. Is there any way we could add that does not accrue? I know we talked about that.
Okay.
And then that's it?
Oh, okay. So, with the corrections we heard before the caucus and the corrections we heard after the caucus, can we accept the minutes as corrected, please? The minutes from April 24th. All right, we are good. Okay, so based on the caucus report, we're going back to Article 12. And we have story, language, options, what do we have for Article 12? Rob?
Yeah, just so, maybe it's story from last time, but the current language talks about sick leave being used in 1/2 day increments. I think, is that accurate?
Yes. What's our?
So there was conversation at our subcommittee meeting about aligning it in a fashion with our system, PeopleSoft, which allows sick leave to be taken in other increments besides half-day increments.
Okay.
However, another part of the story is that guest teachers are hired in half-day or full-day increments. So therein lies the complication. Hence the need to have a conversation.
Okay, got it. All right, Kurt?
There are often times when an absence is needed that doesn't require a full half day or a full day, which is the reason why we wanted to discuss increments. And perhaps increments as low as 5 or 10 minutes isn't reasonable, but at least in a half hour or an hour, we would hope would be a little more reasonable.
Okay, Anna? Hold on a second, Anna, let me catch up here. You said 30 minutes to an hour?
30 minute or an hour, yes.
Okay, Anna.
Since we have been doing all this class coverage, with class coverage being tied to an absence, we have been putting absences into leave management using the customized feature in leave management because that's how teachers are getting paid for coverage. So if an employee comes to school late 3 hours, that's put in to leave management, or vice versa. If I have to leave school at 1 o'clock for an emergency, or for whatever reason, that time is being put into leave management strictly to provide an LMS code for teachers providing that coverage to get paid. So I know that at my school that we're already putting in customized leave, and through conversations with my administration, when that leave is put in, we seem to be getting substitutes now that if it's like an hour leave or a 2 hour leave, we're getting substitutes that are coming just for that short amount of time. So I know that that's been a conversation with how they get paid. And that was strictly because of class coverage. We had to put everything into LMS that we weren't previously putting into LMS.
All right, Ben?
So we, unlike Anna, are not fortunate in the sense that we typically cannot get a sub. We're struggling for half-day subs or full-day subs, and our school does not necessarily have as many additional coaches or other people that sometimes may be willing to fill in. So, I mean, I'm all for the smaller increments. I think it's just a matter of figuring out how do we manage it and how do we make it work at schools that may not have the opportunity to get substitutes for 1 hour increments or even half day. So that does present a challenge for some of us at some of our schools at the elementary level. I know secondary, you can pull a teacher for their planning period and you can not easily, but you can try to cover that hour. But at the elementary level at a school where you are not able to get subs for smaller increments of time, it does present a challenge. But still, I do agree that finding a way to make this work, it does make more sense than charging a half day when you really only need an hour to get out and come back. Just how do we manage that?
Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Can I just float a basic option of changing it from half-day, full-day increments to hourly, by the hour?
Sure, you can put up that option.
I'll accept all modifications on my basic idea.
So option 1 All right, repeat it again, please.
Just move from half day, full day to in hour increments.
Okay, now, Carl.
Okay, actually, I'm gonna reinforce what Anna brought up, because I honestly, at the secondary level, what she described is the reality of what happens. So you have a 47-minute period, and if you were to even go into an increment of an hour or half hour, you, in order to really pay the coverage, and I think there are two issues here. I think that when you get a sub to cover, I think you almost has to be a half a day or a full day when it's a sub coverage. So I think what we have two different entities here. But when you're unable, which happens all of the time now, not to get a sub to cover, then consequently, the increment system is really the most efficient system in order to cover it, because either you're going to overpay or underpay if you go into half hour or an hour. So either you're gonna break the bank because you're just trying to make sure you cover the folks, or you're gonna underpay people by 15 minutes or something of that nature. So increments in this day of, and I know it's a strain on the mechanics at times, but I think a bigger strain would be on, if you overpay, there's a strain on the budget. Okay, so let's say with 47 minutes, so you pay the 60 minutes. Well, if you keep doing it all day long, then the budget lady would say, what the heck are you doing? Doesn't match. If you underpay, now you're dealing with a situation where you're gonna definitely impact teacher morale covers. A lot of people don't wanna cover anyway. So incremental, and I did talk about the incremental system in secondary. Now elementary, I think it is more difficult. And so I think those are some things that we go into, but I just wanted to point that out. The unintended consequence would be somebody's gonna lose if you go with 30 minutes or 60 minutes. I mean, mathematically, it doesn't work. And I just want to say that out loud. So that's my opinion, and maybe the math part of me says increments can work, because everybody can figure out what they got paid, and they can do their own math, or they can get someone to help them with it. But 60 minutes or 30 minutes, you're gonna always run into problems, either underpaying the employee or overstretching the budget. We don't have the money for that. So that's my, so I'm kind of reinforcing just a little different way what Anna was talking about earlier.
So I'm gonna go even before you tell me I can go. Through the chair. So then is it worth having a separate, as much as I hate to say it because of the manageability issue on the district side of the table, increment is increment could be an hour, a half hour. My option is to start discussion, because we appeared to kind of be at a place where we were needing something to continue to spur discussion. And so is the increment at secondary the length of a period as defined by the school schedule? Because if we say 47 minutes now, and let's say we have the idea to go back to block, you know what I mean? Like, then all of a sudden it's 47, but it's really 84, and so is the increment at the secondary level different than the increment at the elementary level? I'm not in a school, so I can't answer. So I'm glad you guys are chiming in on this to limit the unintended consequences as much as possible.
Hey, Carl.
So let me give you some real life scenarios. Cape Coral Bridge accident. A couple of teachers that call in, they're real good about it. So 7:05 bell rings. They may not get there until 7:25, which is not, I'm just giving some real scenarios there with coverages and things of that nature. There are so many things that if you don't do increments, it's going to just amplify those issues. I mean, and even then, let's say it is their fault because they waited too late to leave, okay? Because that could happen too. You still, so do you not pay the teacher who covers for 20 minutes? You don't want to pay for 30 minutes. You know, but you also need to charge the teacher who, even if, you know, if it is their fault, whatever. I'm just giving you some scenarios about the start of the day that happens in the mornings. And I think, and at least in high school, we start so early, so we miss a lot of traffic. I can imagine middle school, that happens all of the time with the way the traffic patterns are now. You know, I talk to the teachers about, you know, you gotta leave by a certain time because of traffic patterns. So there are just so many scenarios that if you go straight to 30 minutes or an hour, you at the school level, you really can't manage it without increments. I just believe in that firmly.
Anna.
So I kind of hate to even say this, but I'm gonna say it. You know, right now we're in this situation because of the class coverage pay. So when that class coverage pay sunsets and we go back to different language, how does old language impact that in increments from your guys' standpoint? Because we weren't paying it like we were paying it. I don't know how you guys did it, and it was just loss of planning. So would going back to old language.
No, we've been paying for coverage even before this. So we've been paying for coverage.
Because I know in elementary it was, you know, that weird formula where, yes, and it was how many students.
There are two things that,
There are a couple things that have happened. One is shortage of subs, so it happens more frequently. But my good friend, Mr. David, what happened was it was supposed to be, the getting paid for coverage was something that was, I'm giving a history lesson in bargaining. It was a 1-year deal. And it was going to be a test year, for lack of better terms. And then it was supposed to come back to the table. Well, the district never brought it back. And within the contract, it was written that it just continued to perpetuity. It was only supposed to be a 1-year deal because in the past, way back in the dark ages when I was, the dinosaur years when I was, when I was initially bargaining 25, 26 years ago, what happened was you went on sort of like a cycle of coverage. And you just went through that and you rotated it and you didn't get paid. It's just that everybody bore the equal burden. But then the compensation piece was about your hourly rate. And so that's been there for, at least 20 years, I think, is the way it's been around. So that was in secondary, but it didn't happen a whole lot because you had subs. Now we don't have subs, so that's amplified.
So when you guys did it, you know, back in the dinosaur days, I'm just kidding, we were not putting it into LMS, or were you putting it into LMS like we are currently?
There was no LMS.
There was no LMS, I don't think.
No, there was not.
No, you run to the principal secretary with a calendar.
Yeah.
Because I think when I think of the situation that we're currently in, lack of substitutes, we need class coverage, there's all kinds of situations. And I heard one of the things Rob said was part of the issue is the way the substitute teachers get paid through LMS. So if we're putting leave in increments into LMS, but substitutes are only getting paid half a day, that's where our kind of increment problem comes from, is how the substitutes are paid. Really what we're doing in real life is we're putting leave in at, you know, if at 9 o'clock I have to go home all of a sudden, I've been at work for 2 hours, then I put it in from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And that's more than a half a day. So it's not a full day, it's not a half a day, it's real time, custom leave. So, yeah, kind of got lost. It is complex. Ben?
And so I think when Anna talks about like the sunsetting of this at the elementary level, I think in secondary, it was kind of always getting paid at their hourly. At the elementary level, you would absorb 5 kids for the entire day, multiplied by the number of minutes, and it would be like $22 or something. And so there really wasn't a huge incentive for coverage at the elementary level. Obviously, right now, there's, because of our current situation, we need it more, and there's more of a desire to do it because of the financial impact it's having on many of our teachers. So I think at the elementary level, it will definitely be different, to your point, when it does sense that it will, if it goes back to what it used to be, not nearly as desirable and difficult to get. Even then, now if we're talking a 50-minute increment at the elementary level, if a whole day would equal $25, then that time is, at that point, you're just volunteering your time because you're gonna get $7 and you don't even wanna bother the secretary with doing it. You don't, so yeah, that creates challenges there too, I think, at the elementary level.
Anybody else? Kevin?
I think for me, the decision is, do we move away from a half-day, whole-day model? And that's the basic question. Because what I know is, and then there may be places that don't enforce the half-day, whole-day model, but I know there are places that do. And if you do a half-day, whole-day model, and I have to be an hour late, but you're gonna charge me for a half a day, guess what? I'm gonna take a half a day, right? And so the real basic question is, do we wanna move away from half-day, whole day? Increments is an increment of time. I suggested an hour with the idea to get the conversation started. And again, to provide flexibility at the secondary level, maybe it is by period, right? Because that would avoid the problem of all of a sudden we're going back to block and the contract says 47 minutes and it's really 84. And now we've got the unintended consequences. Is it 2 47-minute increments or whatever? And then at the elementary level, is it best to do it by the hour? I mean, I'm not sure we're ever gonna develop a system that is 100% foolproof for 6,000 teachers at 108 sites. You know what I mean? I just don't think that's perfection, and as humans, we are inherently flawed, and therefore our decisions are inherently flawed. So I think the question is, do we move away from whole day, half day increments to something that's more akin to reflecting what's really going on, which is people take leave in less than whole day, half days, and making the appropriate kind of accounting of time, but not incentivizing, if I need to be out an hour, now I'm gonna be out 3.5 because you told me you're gonna take 3.5. And so that's where I think the detail is, and it may look different at the secondary level, and again, I'm not sure I would wanna sit in Kevin and Amy and Heather's and everybody's shoes over there, figuring out what that looks like in PeopleSoft. But you know, I think the basic decision again is, do we move away from half-day, whole-day increments of taking leave for the TALC bargaining unit? And again, like many things, like, you know, sometimes the kitchen drives the school day because you got to feed everybody, right? The buses drive the school day, and so maybe we're looking at this wrong and saying the subs drive the increments we can take time in. We could easily adjust the increments we can get a sub. And then we bring ours into alignment. I mean, you know, I don't know, but again, the basic discussion is, are we moving away from half-day, whole-day descriptors of leave that we have to take as TALC people?
All right, anybody else? Kevin.
I'm looking at the current SPALC contract, and the SPALC contract says, I believe this was a recent change. My memory doesn't work as well as it did about a year ago. I don't know. It's increments of 1 hour and then 1/4 hours afterwards. Just throwing that out there.
All right, thank you for throwing that in.
I have another question.
All right, go ahead, Kevin.
And I also think, because one year at Royal Palm, we were on the middle school schedule, and God bless middle school administrators and middle school people, not because of the population, but because you can't go see a doctor, you can't go take care of anything, you cannot do anything without taking leave. Things are not, you know, when you report, things are not open, and when you leave, things are not open. And with the recent legislation that passed that's gonna shake our scheduling in the next 2 years to essentially put all the high schools on the middle school schedule. You know, I think it's important we, you know, again, like Anna was saying, if you have to leave an hour early to go to the doctor, we should be able to go, yeah, we got this hour, we're gonna charge it for an hour, not half a day, because people may say, I'll take half the day. So again, especially at the middle school level, I think this is something that needs to be kind of honored around the idea that they can't go anywhere or do anything outside of their workday because they're working the 9 to 5-ish closest that we would have anywhere in our business.
Okay, Rob?
Anyone else on our team want to comment? Ann, you good? Okay.
Anybody else? We have one option up there.
So, and I appreciate Kevin putting the option up there because I think it is a compromise. PeopleSoft, I think you can get down as granular as 5 minutes, I think, or something. We don't certainly want to do that. But Anna's comments are appreciated too as to what's happening at her school, and then Ben and Carl. So to me, 1 hour, because actually the subcommittee just said, let's just leave it in increments without defining what the increments are, which could open up a whole different ball of wax. The impact here though, and I just have to be straight out honest, is that the minimum currently that a guest teacher gets paid for is a half day. That would have to be changed to an hour. So that is on us. That it's not your bargaining unit, it's not any bargaining unit. Guest teachers are casual employees, but that would be an impact in doing this if we were to decide to do the 1 hour.
Okay. Kirk?
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. If you were lucky enough to get a guest teacher for half a day and a TALC bargaining unit member only needed an hour of leave, I'm sure there's plenty of other things in the school that, and assistance that those guest teachers can be useful, correct?
Mr. Rothenberg leaned over and said the same thing to me, so I don't know if you guys are texting back and forth, but.
Use them while you got them.
Carl?
You want to caucus quick? 15 minutes at the most? You may need more than that?
I just wanted to say one thing before we caucus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted all of us to kind of be cautious because as we're looking at language, is relevant to the way that things are today, such as we have such a shortage of subs. And there are certain factors that 10 years ago, if we were talking about it, we would be saying, what are we talking about? But I also want us to be cautious about putting language that if for some reason things reversed, would we feel the same way? So I kind of, as we're looking at this, I won't be here 10 years from now, but.
Congratulations.
4 years from now.
So, but I just, as I'm sitting here and thinking about back in the dinosaur days, the way things have changed so much, that as we are looking at language, let's make sure we remain cognizant of if the supply and demand shifted, what that would look like and the unintended consequences that could arise from it. That's why I wanted to say that before we go into caucus, because we can't just think about today. We have to think about, like some of this is that when the extra money's not there, when all of those things in 3 years from now, and whatever the case may be, and maybe just fix it today, but let's be aware of that as we go forward.
All right, thank you, Carl. Cal, you gonna caucus?
No.
No?
No, we don't need to.
But we need to leave, right, so they can, Rob, you guys have a room to caucus? Can you get a room to caucus in, or do we ever, does there caucus and go to caucus?
Oh, okay, yeah, we'll cross the hall.
Unless you need us to leave, so you could have the room. And there's always stuff we can talk about, it just won't be your call.
Yeah, because we got quite a few people, so I'm not sure we could
Yeah, it might be a
fit
little
in that
crowded
room.
in that room.
Thank you.
We're not going.
Okay, got it.
I do. We had a good conversation, and trying to differentiate between the coverage issue and just a leave issue. So I believe we can test option 1.
Okay. So, option 1 is change leave from half full day to hour increments. And I see thumbs, please. Thanks, Carl. I thought you were around the corner. Okay, we are good. Get out that orange marker. And then we'll switch the paper around. I put 5A on that. Okay. Tables are getting in our way here now. Okay, where to from here?
Fitness for duty.
No, that was the other one, fitness for duty. And you said earlier that TALC had some language? Or do you want to? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So no more story, we're gonna go right to an option?
Yeah, that's how we're doing things tonight, Donna.
I like it, let's go.
So I think with fitness for duty, TALC had a very strong interest in if the district is requiring an employee to have a fitness for duty exam, that it's not on the employee's time. And so if you want, Donna, I just want 1 and 2, and maybe that's easier than reading it out loud.
Thank you.
But I need that paper back.
So these are gonna be 2 separate options, 1 and 2?
Combined into one option.
They can be combined into one, okay. I don't think fitness for duty was on the snapshot for Article 12, but the interest still gonna be the same for that. Employee morale, consistency, equity, safety, leave when sick and get it done.
I'm sending it to you.
Might be the longest option in.
The history of options.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, mine is pretty simple, right?
Yeah, yours is real simple.
Mine is for salaries too, but we'll make it for us. 25%. Thank you.
So Donna, this language, I lifted it from an Escambia Education Association contract.
Okay.
The other two bullets that they had, I guess in Escambia, they have a local clinic, or it's what it looks like, and they have a list of doctors. We don't have that, so those are the bullets I excluded.
Okay. So you want to read it, Amy? Okay.
Prior to fitness for duty exam, the district shall counsel the employee to assist in determining the necessity of the exam unless there is an immediate health or safety risk to the employee or another person. And if the district determines that a fitness for duty exam, either medical or psychological, in accordance with Florida state statutes is required, the employee shall be placed on administrative leave with pay until the fitness for duty exam can be completed.
There you go. Give him some time to process that. For those of you seeing this for the first time. Amy?
Yeah, question on the option where it says the district shall counsel the employee. What is the intent of that? Who is the district? Is the district the person's supervisor, or is the district someone else?
I would imagine it would be the supervisor. I guess it could be somebody in human resources. You should probably sit down and talk to the employee about the reason for necessitating the fitness for duty before placing them on the leave or requiring it, and that was the only reason for including that first line.
Carl, did you have a question? Clarification?
Okay, typically, I thought it was, oh gosh, what's the name of the, insurance and benefits, huh? Gosh, what's the name of the position? The workers' comp, insurance and business, yeah, somewhere insurance and benefits, because typically when it gets to fitness for duty, I don't really, that's not, I call someone down here. I mean, I don't want to counsel someone on something I'm not an expert in.
Sure.
So in the contract, when it talks about a supervisor, it's often or a designee or somebody from human resources. I really don't care who it is. If it could say management, I think, I've been in situations, or been representing folks in situations where the fitness for duty came from professional standards. There were times that it came from workers' comp. So the district was more of an umbrella term to capture all of those. But there have also been cases where an employee may have shown up to work and perhaps have been under the influence or situations of that, that nature. And it may be the building level principal that has a conversation with them in conjunction with the Office of Professional Standards.
Rob?
So the language when it's at the end of the red language, she wrote it in two colors. Unless there is an immediate health or safety risk to the employee or another person. So at that point, if there is an immediate health or safety risk to the employee or another person, would it be appropriate to do the fitness for duty at that point without doing the second part of that?
So in the first line, I believe the process that was set out here is if there is an immediate health or safety risk, the meeting with the employee may not happen.
Right.
For example,
I see, okay.
So, but the second part would still be followed. I think the cop-out is only for the council.
What Kurt didn't want to say is I show up drunk to work, and I look drunk, or I made a threat, you know what I mean? And I show up where I'm presenting that because of the nature, the thing, it doesn't happen.
Can I clarify, so if there's immediate risk, then the council might not have it?
Right.
Yeah, doesn't mean I have it.
I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify one thing.
And Carl,
We
you're right.
we have a alcohol and drug-free workplace policy and provision in the contract. That's not necessarily implicated by this. This is different.
Yes.
Yeah, so someone shows up to work under the influence, or at least we think they're showing signs of it, there's a process for that already. That's not what we're talking about here.
But I think Kevin's point about a threat is well taken. If somebody has made a threat against themselves or someone else, then you may not have the opportunity to bring them on campus to have a conversation with them. You may send them straight to a medical professional.
Fair enough.
Appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Do you need any clarification?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think I understand the union's meaning of administrative leave, but I'm assuming that means that would be leave with pay?
I guess it's coded under temporary duty and PeopleSoft, so leave with pay and full benefits. And we can change it to temporary duty if you would prefer that to align with the words that we use here.
So I think that's the change here, and that's what we're essentially talking about, which is currently an employee uses sick leave if they have an issue relative to their fitness for duty. So this is essentially the change. The concern, twofold. One is the change, but also the change has no limitation in it relative to a time period. So I hate to say it, but in this day and age, especially when snowbirds are here, sometimes medical appointments are not easy to procure. So I'm not sure the district has an interest in paying someone for weeks upon end for a situation that may have been caused by the employee themselves. I'm not saying that something didn't happen that the employee couldn't control, but may be something they could have controlled. I don't know.
And I think it's reasonable to put in some constraints along those lines. As I said, with this option, I think Escambia, they had a list of doctors that they would say, here's our list, go see one. You have, I believe they had a week to do so. So I would be willing to amend the option to add a time certain of within, I guess, 5 business days.
would that help, Rob?
Yeah, I think we're bargaining it. So I think, Kerr, are you suggesting that the end of this could say can be completed within 5 business days?
Yes. And then at that point, I suppose it would, if the employee still needed more time, at that point, their sick leave would be charged.
Everybody would shoot, after that, their sick leave would be charged?
You don't have that.
Well, I actually do think that probably does need to be clarified. Yeah.
Like Carl said, he won't be here in 10, I won't be here in 4.
Right. I hear you.
We're creating a document for our future selves.
But I can't add to their options, so.
Is that, sorry, Kevin, if you add that for your option?
I'm okay with it.
Okay. Anything else? Rob?
Yeah, and I guess I could put another option up just so as to not continue to. So I think another option, which would be a continuation of the language, frankly, but would be if the individual is deemed not fit for duty, they would then have to go on either a board-approved leave or use their sick leave.
That's what currently happens, right?
Yes.
Quite honestly, we have, like for union members, we have a program that would be able to assist in like FMLA paperwork, early paperwork, and treatment if that were kind of going to be the decision of the physician.
Yes.
Okay, anything else? So we have two options up here for fitness for duty. Anything else we need to add to either option, or anybody have any questions or clarifications on either option? Helen?
I just have a question. I wonder, I know that through our insurance, we have the partnership with TALC. I don't know if that would be an option for employees to utilize for the fitness for duty fees. Usually there's the fee to get
Hold up. So I was wondering if through the district partnership for insurance with Teladoc, if that would be an option for employees to fulfill this ask if possible.
That came up in our internal meeting. I'm not sure if they do that. We're gonna do some digging to ask. I recently learned that Teladoc will give you a doctor's note if you need one after so many days, which I didn't know. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that as well.
All right, anything else? Rob?
Yeah, so on page 80 of the current agreement, and it's under FMLA, so there's fitness for duty certification language. And I'm just wondering if we need to have some of that language in this provision, in the leaves provision that's been proposed. So, because it talks about the resumption of work and the ability to perform the essential functions of the employee's job, yada, yada, yada. So, sorry, Seinfeld reference. Because we don't have language up there, and I know I can put an option up there that suggests what happens if the person never becomes fit to do their job. Well, we ultimately know, because we're in this business, that the person eventually would end their employment with the district one way or another. So, worst case scenario.
Well,
I think piggybacking on that too, there's the ADA process that if the person wasn't fit, needed an accommodation, we would be able to kind of initiate that process. But like Rob's saying, if no accommodation is available, or if it presents an undue hardship, or if there was something else, that then triggers other things. But I think that's one of the challenging things with the fitness for duty language generally, and Carl kind of alluded to this earlier, is there's a bunch of different directions that it could go, and it's all based on individual kind of facts or situations. And I think the biggest thing, which I think we've captured, is that we're not the doctor, and so if we see something that causes us to believe that someone is, a risk, whether to themselves or to someone else, we need that doctor, whether it's Teladoc, whether it's urgent care, whether it's your primary care physician, someone to just let us know that the person's gonna be okay coming to work. And then, again, if the answer is, well, they might be, or they're not, then we go a different direction. If they are, then we're good, everything goes back to normal, and we're good to go. But I think we captured most of the fitness for duty part of it. It's then the
After part.
yes, the after part that I think we're hashing over.
Okay? So is there an option from either Rob or Will, on what you just said? All right, Mike?
So back to what Rob just said for page 80, would the 5 days apply if somebody was already on leave and we're making them bring us a doctor's note to come back to work?
I think that's a good question. I think the situations that we're referring to, and I think that Kerr had mentioned last time when we were talking about this, this is if your supervisor requests the fitness for duty screening. I don't know, like you're talking about, if this is, I've been out for several days and, I bring in the note that says that I need one of those kneeling scooter things, or if I say that I can't come back, and my boss tells me you need to get back to work, you're out of available leave. I don't know that this is for that situation. I think this is more someone shows up to work and they want to work, but you're concerned about their safety. Did that answer your question, kind of? 50%?
Yes, Kerr.
So I'm a little confused, because we're talking about, I think, a page that's in the current CBA, but then we also have this 16-page document that the subcommittee looked at that is drastically different from what's there. And the fitness for duty piece is up under returning from work. And so there's a provision for returning, and then it says that a fitness for duty screening may be required if an employee is absent for 10 or more days in a 12-month period. I thought that this language would just follow B, C, D, whatever after that. And it seems like a decent place for it to live that could then be used for multiple situations.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just to clarify, Kerr, so you're talking under 7A,
Yes.
it would just basically follow?
Yes.
Okay.
Of the language, the draft language.
Right.
Can you tell me what, all right, so Article 12, 7A?
Yeah, draft language.
Yeah, this is 12.02, parentheses 7, parentheses A of the draft.
Okay, anything else? Go ahead.
So I just want to clarify a situation that could be a real possibility. What if a person is out of leave and is deemed by the supervisor to need a fitness for duty screening after following the steps, would they be leave without pay because they're already out of leave, or would they be on temp duty still for those first 3 days or 5 days?
I think they would be on temporary duty for the 5 days, and then after that, they would be on leave without pay.
I know, it's a lot to take in, I know.
Basically, their option.
And then they'd go without pay. If they couldn't come back after the 5 days. Okay, anything else?
I think we need to caucus.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Bless
right.
you.
Cal, do you need to caucus?
No, not in the room.
Okay, right,
We'll do the same.
okay.
You guys chairs on the hall earlier, I didn't even think about it, Donna.
Oh, okay. We're fine.
Okay, so, just so you know, nobody here has seen this language before, so that's why I'm trying to take it all in. Basically, they're talking about the person being on 5 days paid leave while they go to get an exam. That's different than what we do now, completely different than what we do now. So, now you're basically taking your sick leave when they go and do that. Doesn't happen often, but it happens enough that we need to have some rules around it. My other concern is there's a lot of details left out, like, does the district have any say who the doctor is? And I'm not into providing a list, we did this once before, we had a whole process and we sent it to Lee Health. And honestly, it didn't work real well for us because, excuse me, the doctors, this is years ago, over a decade ago, the doctors were putting people back to work. So, so I'm not really sitting here tonight saying that I think we agreed to anything without digesting this a little bit more. And maybe suggesting an option or two of our own when we come back. I don't like drafting language as we sit here, so. Any other thoughts? Yeah, go ahead.
We have some issues, because I know there are cases when professional standards, and our team has worked together, and people who are on board leave are clear to return, and they're asked to fitness for duty.
It's true.
And we would have to have clearance before we could then return them and pay them for temporary duty. So I think that, I was trying to confer that, and that, not just board leave, but, unpaid leave too. So I think we might want to investigate that a little more, so how many cases we have, and maybe amend the option.
Okay. I think that's good.
Of the cases that we do have, how many days, how many sick days are they having to take? Yeah.
them involved in it. By the end of the week, if you got a diligent employee, they're gonna get you a note saying that they either can return to work, can't return to work, or they can return to maybe have some vacation. There have been cases where people will drag it out in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months. Those are normally the ones. Those are the ones where people are typically abusing it, and so that's a different story. I think they had brought up a couple of years ago, the first 48, 72 hours seems to be enough time that if you're getting paid, you could go sick in the convenient care waiting room. Or call Teledoc 5 times a day until you can be seen. But like you could get a note
Want to give your caucus report?
Sure, so we discussed the option and some other items under fitness for duty. The summation essentially is we need to take some time to digest the significant option, and I appreciate the effort by TALC bringing language to us. That's fantastic, but we need a day or two to digest that. We do have TALC labor management on Wednesday. Not sure if we'll have something to add to that, but potentially. And then certainly on the 22nd, be able to at least come up with some type of straw design relative to this issue. So that's where we're at.
All right. So, do we have, you guys okay holding these options until that point?
Yes.
All right, do we have anything else for Article 12? Anything else?
No, I think.
So, on the 22nd, we will look at all of the draft language in Article 12 and plus what we did tonight?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And now Kevin.
Curveball, turnaround and supplements. We have not dealt with supplements yet for next year. They have budgetary impacts. You guys just got the budget today, so of course you're not ready. But more importantly, turnaround. I think there are teachers and administrators out there who perhaps are nervous about whether or not their school and their staff are going to continue to get the turnaround money. I know there's been an interest from the district to kind of revamp the turnaround process, and we share that to get to a system that's sustainable and equitable and, you know, all the nice words we use around turnaround. But I think we need to make a decision on next year, and so I have an option of status quo for one more year for the 23-24 year, and then a commitment to convene the committee in August of 2024, give them a charge, and have them tear into it, and probably be back at the bargaining table in March, because, well, in March for 24-25, but have them kind of have a report ready in 24-25, because session in next legislative session is early. Yeah, 24-25, and so, yeah, I'm confusing myself.
Yeah, status quo.
Status quo for next school year, for 23-24 school year. Convene the committee in August of 23, give them a charge to kind of do whatever they need to do over the 8 months, and then come back with something while we're bargaining for the 24-25 school year. And that means we may have to do an MOU to continue the schools that were due money because of the change in state law as well, that we agreed to around the, I can't ever remember what, the BSI schools that had to get special attention, you know, to keep them on the list as well, as long as they need to, but yeah, so that's, and I don't necessarily need agreement on this tonight, and I would like to, but we need to agree to it before we're done, because again, administrators and staff, I think, get a little nervous if there's not a decision. Yeah, so we need to have this moving forward, and again, I would like to incentivize everyone who is on the committee to attend every meeting and give their input on the work product as it is developed.
Kevin, is this okay, status quo for FY '24, convene committee in August of 2023 to come back with something for FY '25?
Okay, Rob.
So, thank you for that. The leap to what, Article 10? Appreciate that. Did have a heads up, so I appreciate that. We will, of course, digest the option, discuss it with the individuals that it's necessarily to be discussed with, and be ready to discuss that also on the 22nd, hopefully in some fashion, hopefully. And supplements, I think, Will can provide a bit of an update moving forward.
Okay, Will?
So I know that we have the contractual deadline, I think it's May 15th, to get the supplement list out to schools so that people can start signing up now. We've had some requests from high school principals to put specifically the athletic list out early, because I know when people are trying to make some of those decisions about fall sports, football and others, they start actually right before the school year starts with some of their preseason workouts. I think our goal is to have the list out by Wednesday with no changes to it from what it was or what it is currently, because like you said, we haven't gotten to that point in the discussion, and then if we do come back at a later date and negotiate any changes to that, we can look to amend from there, but so that we're not missing the deadline of May 15th. We would like to get that out as soon as possible.
And that might be more of a labor management
conversation in a bargaining.
And I just know that several people who have gotten supplements for several different things have contacted me about an upward movement. And I know originally I asked kind of what would it cost to re-index them, to make the index whole again based on the new base pay. And all of these things have budgetary implications, and if after we hear the budget, that's something that's there, we can always make the decision and do what we did with longevity, which is kind of increase it moving forward and then reset it next time. But I think you're right to meet the deadline and allow people to know what they're signing up for. We've got to at least status quo it for now.
Okay, do we want to just wait until the 22nd to discuss this further, or do you want that option to go up?
We're gonna send it out.
You're gonna definitely send it out?
If you need a thumb review of it.
Okay,
We've got to send it out and status quo it.
all right, that's fine then. Everybody agrees to that, so not a problem. All right, anything else? Rob?
No, I don't have anything else. I thank everybody for their patience tonight, because it was slow getting going, but we did accomplish some things, so that's a good thing.
And we did. And we have some work ahead of us for the 22nd to try to wrap up the session. So hopefully everybody will have that draft language prior to the 22nd. Is that going to happen?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. With that, have a good evening. Those of you who are rooting for the Knicks or the Heat, good luck.
Let's go eat.